Today marks the end of Britain's last colonial outpost in Africa. After months of confidential wrangling, legal theatre, diplomatic shadowboxing, the United Kingdom has signed a deal transferring sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. But as with all matters imperial and strategic, this is a handover with strings, or rather cables, attached. Under the terms, Britain will lease back the Diego Garcia military base for 99 years at an annual rate of £101 million, bringing the total value of the deal to £3.4 billion. And Starmer has declared this a win for national security. His critics, however, are calling it an expensive surrender. So what exactly has Britain given up, and what, if anything, has it gained? First, remember the context. In 1965, just before Mauritius gained independence, the UK excised the Chagos archipelago from the colony, effectively retaining it as a military pawn. And between 1968 and 1973, over 1,500 people from the Chagos Islands were forcibly removed, with many relocated to Mauritius or to the Seychelles to make way for the Diego Garcia Air Base, a joint UK-US operation. It was deeply shameful, an episode that the International Court of Justice described in 2019 as a breach of international law. The United Nations overwhelmingly backed Mauritius's claim, and this week the deal represents Britain's grudging recognition of that legal and moral defeat. So what has been agreed? That sovereignty over the entire Chagos archipelago is now recognised as Mauritian, that the UK retains use of Diego Garcia for 99 years, paying an average of £101 million annually. A further £45 million will go to Mauritian development over 25 years. A £40 million fund has been established for the displaced people of the Chagos archipelago, and the UK maintains responsibility for Diego Garcia's defence and security. In Starmer's words, there was no alternative. Without this deal, Mauritius would have reopened litigation, likely winning international enforcement against the UK, and that, he argued, would have jeopardised continued use of Diego Garcia altogether, potentially exposing it to malign interests from China, Iran or Russia. Diego Garcia is no tropical bauble. It's a military keystone in the Indian Ocean, vital for surveillance, nuclear submarine deployment and rapid force projection across the Middle East and Asia. And as John Healey, the Defence Secretary, bluntly put it, if you don't back the deal, you don't back the base. But does that make it a triumph of realpolitik, or a colossal rent payment for yesterday's empire? The opposition has been fierce. James Cartledge, a shadow Defence Secretary, called it an abject surrender. Former Defence Minister Grant Shapps labelled the deal insane, warning that Chinese investment in Mauritius could give Beijing the de facto influence in the region anyway. And more poignantly, the Chagos Island exiles themselves are split. Some welcome the return to Mauritian sovereignty. Others, like Beatrice Pompey, fear their rights have been bargained away without consultation. We're not Mauritian, she said, standing outside the High Court, and we've been fighting for our rights for 60 years. Politically, this is precarious ground for Keir Starmer. And while the Conservatives initiated talks, the final handover happened under his watch. His rhetoric has been muscular, casting opponents as allies of foreign adversaries, but this swagger masks a deeper vulnerability. For the party that once campaigned to end colonial injustice, Labour is now overseeing a leaseback of land once seized by force. Moreover, Starmer is losing patience among younger liberal metropolitan voters. And this deal, like his stance on migration, has been interpreted by many as another swing to the right, an abandonment of Labour's moral centre in the hope of seducing Reform UK's flinty nationalist base. And the result, a party that looks nervous, transactional and oddly post-ideological. There's a wider philosophical point too. This deal symbolises the slow, reluctant unpicking of Britain's imperial legacy. It's a rare example of a Western state submitting to the rulings, however advisory, of international law, but it also reveals how sovereignty can now be commodified, and we're witnessing the conversion of empire into some sort of rental agreement. And here lies the paradox. The UK has conceded the principle of sovereignty, yet retained the substance of strategic control. It's a recipe that could I suggest be used elsewhere. If people are paying attention to battles and wars going on in other parts of the world. So is this a victory for realpolitik? It's both and neither. It's a moral settlement without moral clarity. It's a handover justified in legalese but executed through money and militarism. Britain has paid billions not to lose a base. Mauritius has won sovereignty but not autonomy over Diego Garcia. And the Chagos Island residents, the former residents themselves, remain caught between competing interests, colonial legacy, and modern global politics. What this saga reveals above all is that history does not end, it rents itself out. It's like some sort of eternal rent agreement. Rent places, rent boys.